relationships are the key to a successful life. But there's 5 areas that we have to be mindful of when it comes to relationships. There's relationship with God, relationship with ourselves, relationship with family and friends, romantic relationships, and then business relationships. So I'm going to break down each one and give you guys some tools and tips on how to have better, healthier, happier relationships. Now, let me first say this. When it comes to I'm going to try to put it in priority order. And with that said, I know we always say God first, and God is first. But when it comes to relationship, there's an argument to be made that your relationship with yourself is just as important or even more important than the relationship with God. Here's what I mean. If you don't take care of you, you are going to have a harder time connecting with God. All right? If you're tired, if you're depressed, if you're not pouring into yourself, your ability to be faithful, have hope, to be willing to pray, to be able to listen in prayer, all of that diminishes when we don't take care of ourselves. So taking care of ourselves and having self-love, it's not a selfish thing, it's a necessary thing. All right? And so I'm going to say relationship with God and relationship with ourselves is 1A, 1B. All right? So they're on equal plane. So, but we're going to start with the relationship with ourselves. So, by a show of hands, how many of you can honestly say on a weekly basis you pour into yourself? All right, that's not bad. Not bad. Even though I would question how much you're really doing it. But I'm going to take your word, okay, and roll with it. But this is very important. And taking care of ourselves isn't just about getting to know ourselves and what we like. It's about getting to learn how do we operate at an optimal level, all right? Because each of us require different things to be productive, to be happy, and to be positive. For example, I may need 8 hours of sleep to really be able to get on my grind and do my thing. You might only need 6 or 7 hours, all right? You may be wired differently. We all are built differently. And I didn't get to sit here for the health and wellness aspect, but I'm just going to co-sign everything she said, even though I didn't hear a word of it, because I highly believe in health and wellness and taking care of yourself. It is extremely essential because, again, we can have all these dreams, all these desires, all this purpose, and it's so hard to walk in it when we feel like pure crap. All right. When we are just drained, we're worn out, and how you eat, exercise, sleep, and even the amount of water you drink, all of that plays into your ability to have the energy and focus needed to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So you have to, one, take an inventory of what do I need to operate at a high level. All right. So for me, I needed one, structure. And I believe everyone needs structure. So we try to just wing it in life. And I have to give some credit to my coach, Lori, for this one. All right, because when I came to her, I was lacking some structure. And we both realized, okay, I don't do well that way. So I have it now where there's a routine. I wake up in the morning, I go drink my lemon water, then I go make me a cup of coffee, then I go stretch for 30 minutes. Then I might go jump on the tread. Like I literally have it mapped out so I know exactly what I'm trying to do. Not to mention, if you research successful people, what they try to do is eliminate decision making. That's why you see successful people wearing the same thing every single day. It's one less thing to have to question, wonder, and determine. All right? You look at my closet, it's a bunch of polo shirts and jeans, okay? And I got a bunch of regular shirts, just different colors. I don't complicate matters. Keep it really simple. Yes, you can work with the colors, work with the fashion. There's still ways to be fashionable, but still keep it to where you're not making it hard for you to figure out what to wear, what to do. It's too much. Simplify your life. But again, it's not just what you wear, it's structure, having a routine. So determine, okay, what's a good sleep schedule for myself? What do I need to do in the morning to get myself going? Some of you might want to get up and play music right away. That might help perk you up and get you going. For some of you, maybe you don't like coffee, but maybe you can have some tea, all right? Whatever it is, start to figure that out. Also, start to ask yourself, what do I enjoy, all right? So one of the things that I find that we don't do enough is we don't add some time for our own fun and enjoyment in life, whatever that is. Now, I know we don't always have the time to do everything we want to do, but you want to try to carve out some time in your life to create me time, all right? So whether if you like art, all right, well, maybe once a week you go to a museum or once every 2 weeks, all right? If you like music, you make an effort to go to more concerts and festivals. You find a way to add the things that you enjoy that keep you happy because you have to keep yourself happy first, all right? Again, this is the relationship you're establishing with yourself. Not to mention, when you learn to set the standard for you, it's so much easier to hold other people to the standard in your life. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. So sticking with you, like I said, create a routine, add the things that you enjoy, find what really works for you. And then the next thing is start to identify and eliminate negative energy in your life, all right? So one of the things I've learned in becoming more successful, walking in my purpose is I do not have time to entertain the things I could entertain before. I do not have time to allow myself to be distracted. My time has become extremely precious now. Every minute counts, all right? And every minute is something that we can be doing productive. And again, productive doesn't have to be work, 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 but even getting rest is productive, all right? Eating can be productive. Exercising is productive. All those things are productive, and we have to add all of that. So do an inventory. What makes me upset? What throws off my energy? So for example, once upon a time, I used to get up, do my little thing, jump on Facebook. Then I see people post, and every time certain people post, it would irk my nerves. I don't know why, but these people would just say things that I just thought was so ridiculously stupid, okay? And after a while, I had to ask myself, why am I still allowing this on my timeline? Why am I entertaining this? So you don't have to get off social media, but you have to remove the negative factors from your social media. Because the reality is that social media is necessary if you're trying to create a business, if you want to connect with other people. So it's not all bad. But what we allow to be on there can be very bad. So for me, I had to unfollow people. Unfriend. I could be your friend in real life. I can't be your friend on the internet. It's just the way it is, all right? So you have to take an inventory of what is making you feel some kind of way on the internet and remove it. And sometimes we don't even realize that it becomes our guilty pleasure. Some of you guys have reality shows or gossip sites that you visit all the time, and it's like you hate it, but you love going there. It's like you want to see the latest news and gossip, but when you read the comments from all these trolls and negative people, it puts you in a negative mindset. You have to be very careful of that. So eliminate the negativity, not just in what you're seeing on the internet, but what you have in your household. So as Jenny mentioned with clothes, the colors you wear emit energy, all right? And they can set the tone in your life. So for example, there was a time in my life where I stayed at my mom's house, and I stayed in the basement. And in the basement, I was in a room with no windows. The walls were all off-white, and there was pictures of dead people all over the rooms. Great-grandfathers, mothers, whatever, all right? Everybody's dead, all right? So every time I wake up, I see no windows, off-white walls, and dead people every day. And I promise you guys, I was so depressed while I was living there. I was still doing what I do now, but I was just such in a negative mindset. And at first, I did not understand why. I just thought it was just life. I'm not happy. I'm not getting what I want. But it had a huge part to do with where I was living and the environment around me. Once I moved to my own place, and I'm big on color. I love color. I love things to kind of make me feel positive. So when I can control my environment, I was so much happier. It wasn't that my life changed so much. It was my environment changed. So when you go home, look at your room. Look at your house. Maybe you could paint a couple walls. Maybe you can add a picture on the wall, a plant, whatever. Those small little things can play a huge role in you feeling better every day. If you got to get a positive message and put it on your wall, so every time you leave your house, you see that positive message, do that. You need to help reprogram your mind and reprogram your spirit to embrace more positive things and remove the negative things, all right? And not to mention, you're going to have to remove the negative relationships. But I'm going to save that for when we talk about the other aspects of relationships. So again, taking care of yourself. We got structure. We got creating some me time. We got evaluating the negative factors in your life and creating a more positive and better environment, and finding out what truly works for you and allows you to optimize your productivity and you being progressive. Now, that's for relationship with you. So let's shift to relationship with God. You have to make weekly time for God, if not daily time for God. Now, I'm speaking to myself on this one because I'm not the greatest. I'm still working on it. I still have improvements to make. But, as we've been living and growing and people tell us to read the Bible and stuff like that and go to church, I think we've all had a time in our life where we wonder what's really the purpose of this. It almost seems like this repetitious thing to do that just looks good on the surface, but where's the real value? The reality is that it has immense value. You may not always know what it is you're going to gain in that moment from reading just a little bit of scripture that day. But I'm telling you, there's going to come a moment in your life where something happens and something you read that day is going to hit you. And it's going to help shape how you handle that situation. And it's happened to me even just recently a few times. So again, I think making some time to at least read a little bit of the Bible per day is very, very helpful. And it helps you with your relationship with God. I think number two, also understanding that a lot of times when we pray to make petitions. We pray to thank God and praise Him, and that's wonderful. Keep doing it. But if you want a relationship with God, you have to allow yourself a moment to hear Him. So to put it in perspective, imagine you have a child, and all the child ever does is come to you and say, thanks, Dad, thanks, Mom, or Mom, I want this, Dad, I want that. Oh, Mom, I'm so tired. All they do is vent, okay, and speak to you, but they never sit there and allow you to talk to them. That's not a relationship. A relationship is a two-way thing. It's not a one-way deal. So a lot of times our relationship with God is one way. It's just us pushing to Him, throwing our burdens onto Him, giving it to God, which again is cool. But let God talk to you. Sit, be quiet. Let yourself meditate in the prayer and allow yourself an opportunity to hear your spirit. Your spirit is there for a reason. It wants to talk to you, but you got to allow yourself to listen. And this is going to strengthen your relationship with God. I think also learning to lean on God more than other people. All right. Again, we get too comfortable relying on pastors, friends, coaches, and all of those people are wonderful and needed in our lives, and they help us progress. But God forbid you end up on a deserted island with no one around you. Your pastor's not there. Your friends are gone. No family. What are you going to do? Say, well, I can't talk to God because the people I used to connect with Him are no longer around me. No. You all, every last one of us has the ability to have a very specific individual relationship with God. So we have to now learn to lean on Him and not on what other people are telling us and how other people want to guide us. We can take what they give us and then we take it back to God and say, is this correct? Does this apply to me? Again, this is how you strengthen your relationship with God. And one more thing is, never be afraid to pray about the smallest, littlest thing. Let me give you a quick example. And this is going to sound crazy to some people, but it's exactly what happened. So there was one day I woke up. This is actually when I was living in that basement with the dead people and the white walls. So I woke up and I was so tired. And I really didn't want to go to church, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I said, let me pray. Now, some of you may say, why would you pray about going to church? That doesn't make any sense. You're supposed to go to church. But again, never be afraid to pray about anything that you're feeling conflicted or confused about, even if something that you think is obvious. It's just, God, should I go to church? That's it. I asked, and I honestly felt God said, don't go. So I didn't go. Now, some people would say to you, and this is why you have to learn to lean on God, not people. Because if you tell people that story, they'll say, no, you're lying. God wouldn't tell you not to go to church. That's a bunch of BS. But let me tell you what happened next. So I didn't go to church. So I put the church on the computer screen. So I'm watching it on the computer screen. My niece who lived in the house, who recently was giving up on God, Was mad at God because her mom, my sister, was going through or actually went through a divorce. There was a whole bunch of messed up stuff happening. So literally days before, she was crying and pretty much saying, forget God, I'm not going to God. She randomly walks in my room, sees it on the screen, sits down right there and watches church with me. There was a reason for me to stay home. Had I left, that would have never happened. And it opened the door for her to get back to God. That's why you never know. You never know. And you can't assume that, well, this is stupid to ask God about, or God's not going to say this. You don't know what he's going to say. All right? Because again, God's goal isn't that we walk into a building for church every day. God's goal is that we get to him and we get others to him. And that can happen in a variety of ways. It doesn't mean don't go to church ever again. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to still go to church. But yes, there may be moments where you have to take an alternate route and another door will open for something else. So praying and asking God about the littlest things is, I will even ask God if I should go to the gym today. All right. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything that I'm hesitant about, or I'm confused, or I'm not sure, I will ask. And again, because I don't know where he wants me positioned today. Where he wants me today may be different than where he wants me tomorrow. So you have to ask about the little things. So we got relationship with yourself. We have relationship with God. Next, relationship with family and friends. So before I get into this, I think, and this is connected to the relationship that you have with yourself, and even we can talk about the relationship you have with God. If we want to establish better relationships in our lives in general, we have to forgive people. All right? Forgiveness is for your freedom, and it is essential for you to have a peace within yourself that allows you to establish healthier and happier relationships. The reality is that we struggle with a lot of folks around us and ourselves and even God because we haven't forgiven. And the reason why I mention God is because some of you are mad at God. Some of you are still feeling slighted because you didn't get XYZ when you thought you would, or this didn't happen, or you got hurt and you wonder, where was God when I got hurt? And guess what? There's nothing wrong with being mad at God. Let me confess to you, I have cursed God out multiple times, all right? I have no problem saying this. I've gone all in because my belief is he knows you're mad. You're trying to hide your saltiness. Like, he knows what's going on. And we're human beings. There's nothing wrong with being upset, holding resentment. But what I realized is this. I went through a period even last year where I was mad at God. And I thought that I could still manage life and other aspects of trusting God while being mad at God for this one specific thing. And I learned that doesn't work. Once you have a disconnect with God in any way, you hinder your ability to hear him in all ways. And you hinder your relationship with him in every other way. So you can't think I can ignore this one piece, all right? That has to be addressed too. So we have to even, yes, forgive God. We have to forgive ourselves. Listen, we've all made mistakes. Every last one of us. But what's done is done. Starting today, whatever happened to you before is gone. You have to now make a decision to make better choices going forward. Learn from the past mistakes. Don't dwell in them. And now watch your life get better. Now, yes, there's a process to healing, and we could try to get into that today, or we may not have time today, but it's something to look into because we all need to heal. But understand that forgiveness is at the center of it. And you have to forgive other people. Now, let me also say this when it comes to forgiving other people. Understand that the individuals who have hurt you, family, friends, whoever, they are damaged people. Damaged people, or let me say this, healthy people don't go around hurting individuals. They don't do what they did to you. When a person can do that, it's because they have their own demons they never conquered. All right? So while we're really mad at them and we're internalizing what they did, that's their issue. It wasn't about you. They took it out on you. All right. But when you start to understand that they are human just like us, like one of the biggest things I come across is people being mad at their parents. And they're mad because it's like, you were my parent. You should have known better. You should have known to love me. You should have known to protect me. But guess what? They are human beings just like us. They are flawed just like us. And just as you will make some mistakes with loving people the wrong way, they made mistakes too. When you start to understand that and look at others like you look at yourself, it makes it easier for you to forgive them. But again, you got to forgive yourself first. Because if you can't forgive you, you can't forgive them. And if you can't forgive them, God won't forgive you. Now, that's scripture. So that's the rule. That's the trade-off here. We made a deal. If we want to be forgiven, we got to forgive other people. So that's why it's extremely essential. Now, once we can embrace forgiveness and we can get to that place, now how do we establish better relationships with family and friends? Number one, first step is remove the negative friends. Now, we're going to leave family alone for a second because the friends are the people who don't have to be there. You're choosing to allow them in your life. You have to ask yourself, one, why are they here? Is there a good purpose for them being here? And how are they contributing to the energy I'm experiencing in my life? If you have a bunch of negative friends who do nothing but pour nonsense and drama into your life, why are they your friend? And even if you want to be their friend, because you know what? Sometimes we have negative friends, and let's say they haven't gotten to where we are yet spiritually. They haven't grown yet, but they could get there, all right? So maybe you don't need to cut them off completely, but you need to create some separation, all right? But before you even do that, you address the issue. Never cut people off without giving them a chance to see if they're going to make the necessary corrections. You have to address them in a calm and loving manner, not attacking them, not talking down to them, but clearly stating what the issue is, why there's a disconnect, can we correct this? Now, if they correct it, you're good to go. You move forward with your friend. If they won't correct it, they got to go. They got to go. And when they're willing to come correct and do better, they can come back into your life. But in the meantime, you don't have to hold them, close to you because they become an anchor in your life. So I have one client where she had gotten to a situation with a guy. Long story short, after like a month and going to see him in another state, he stopped calling her. She was hurt. Whenever she speaks to her friends, it's, oh, why are you so stupid? Why are you worried about this man? He doesn't love you. He was using you, blah, 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 blah. All they did was pour negativity, negativity, negativity. So when she came to me, I said, why do you keep speaking to your friends? Why? You know all they have is negative things to say. And you know why they're speaking negative? Because they're damaged. They're hurt. Because they're projecting how they would see themselves in your situation rather than taking a step back and properly evaluating what's going on. They're not telling you to look at what you may have done or what you could do better. It's just this person is horrible. Oh, he didn't value you. You weren't worth it, blah, 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 blah. And that has nothing to do with it. So again, you have to recognize, who am I talking to? Who am I sharing my information with? And are they pouring positive, loving guidance or negativity, negativity, negativity? Sometimes that's friends, sometimes that's family too. We're going to get to family in a second. So first, like I said, evaluate what the negativity is coming from with friends, address it first, and then if it's not corrected, remove or at least create distance with the friend. Because again, you have to be very protective of your spirit. And you have to be mindful of what you're allowing to influence you on a daily basis. It's not about you don't love them anymore. You can care about these people. You can love them. You can pray for them from a distance. All right. You just right now can't be up close. And some of you are going to be taken or being taken on a journey that some people can't come along with you. All right. Not everyone is meant to go to that next level with you. Not everyone is meant to be there for your process. Yes, they might be there later on. They might come back, but right now they do not belong. You have to recognize that. Number two is, again, recognize when maybe you are the negative friend. All right. A lot of times we're looking at what they're doing, what they're saying, but sometimes we're the anchor holding other people down. We're the one being negative. We're the one always giving this horrible doomsday opinion of situations and being pessimistic. And we cover up our pessimism by saying we're being a realist. You're not a realist, you're a pessimistic, all right? Just acknowledge it for what it is, all right? And so you have to now recognize, am I the problem and how can I correct it? And what is the source of my negativity? Am I still holding on to past hurts? Am I being skeptical because of things not going the way that I want them to? But one way or another, change the energy that you're giving off to people. Because if you want more positive people coming to you, then you got to become a positive person too. So you have to recognize that and make the necessary adjustments. Now, number three, now we get to the family, all right? And again, Family, to be honest with you, is no different to me than friends in the sense that you do have a choice. All right. We think we have to accept certain family into our lives. Listen, the idea is to keep them. The idea is to have healthy relationships where we can stay connected to our family. But I don't know if you guys remember in the Bible when there was a part where Jesus came back to, I think, Nazareth, and he was speaking in front of a crowd, and they was like, oh, your mother and your brother and your sisters are over here. And he was like, no, the people right here are my mother, brother, and sisters. Like, the fact that we're blood related does not give you the right to stay in my life if you don't belong there. All right. So we do have a choice with family. But again, the goal is we try to make it better first. And then if we can't, we make the adjustments. So same thing with your friends, your family, you address them. Address the deeper issues. Get things off your chest. A lot of you are holding back and have never told your mother, your father, your brother, whoever, how you really feel, how they made you feel in certain situations. You've never released that. And one thing I've learned, and again, I'm no biblical scholar, but one thing I learned is when I was reading and it said, the truth shall set you free. I don't think we fully understand what that scripture is saying. It's saying when we speak our truth, it will set us free. When we learn the truth, it will set us free. When we walk in the truth, it will set us free. So when you hold on to your truth, you live in bondage. You are weighed down by the things that you have not fully expressed to the people in your lives, that you have not acknowledged to yourself, or that you have not even spoken to God about. You have to get all of that out. All right. Let your truth set you free. And don't be afraid of whatever that truth is, because it will open the door to some amazing things when you finally accept it and just let it go. And when I say let it go, I mean let it out. All right. So again, go ahead.
I just have a quick question on that. There's times where like somebody could envision that as being negative, but really all you're trying to do is, you might have an expectation of a relationship, and you just want to share maybe how you've heard or how you feel like you can strengthen the relationship. But people that have never have grown up not being able to express themselves or be able to share those kinds of things might look at it as negative. So it's tough because like I personally don't feel it's negative. Do you? I mean.
Well, so it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay? So if we express ourselves to family and friends, but we do so in a very attacking way. And again, attacking isn't always our words, it's our energy, our spirit. So you can have somebody talk to you and they're very calm, very proper, but you feel the stankness just coming off their body, all right? And you still want to reach over and just slap them one good time because you feel their spirit attacking you. Your calm words doesn't cover up the negativity that you're holding from within that you're projecting in that moment. So when we speak to people, that's why it's so important to create peace from within first. Because whether we realize it or not, we give off that bad energy ourselves sometimes. And that's what people are reacting to. And then the situation escalates from there. So first, find a peace from within. Speak to them when you're calm. Express yourself in a more calm, genuinely calm and loving manner. But I think what is a good way to do it is to do it by letter. So in the healing process I give to people, I always encourage to express these issues by letter, because verbally, most people cannot handle a verbal conversation like that. It is human nature to become defensive, to deflect. A distraction may come. You don't get everything out. Or let's say immediately they say, okay, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So they kind of cut you off and you don't get everything out. So by letter, you're able to get everything. Not only are you able to get everything out, you're able to read it over, make sure it was presented the right way, make sure you spoke to them in a way that they can receive your message, and now they get to process it fully. Because again, when people are listening to you verbally, they're listening to rebuttal. They're not listening to understand. When you do it by letter, they will give themselves an opportunity to now understand what you're saying. They're going to think before they react. And that's going to help the conversation along. So I would encourage doing it by letter, not by text, by letter. Email or written, typed, whatever, that's all acceptable. But verbal conversations usually won't go well that way. So again, you have to express yourself. You have to open yourself up in that way and address these people. But then again, also making sure that you have productive relationships in your life. So for some of you, it may not even be about getting rid of the negative people. It may be about learning how to draw in more positive ones, more positive influences. And I think this is where City Fam comes into play, finding groups where now you can connect with like-minded individuals who you can create a community with. That's going to be very helpful for you in life. So even for me, that's something I have to do more of. But all of us can evaluate ourselves and say, okay, do I have that group around me? Do I have those friends? Because I'll be honest with you, my friends are all broke and God is not a priority, okay? So, whatever. No pressure, right? But no, so for me, as I've gone along, I'm making more of an effort to connect with certain individuals, even getting involved in my church. These things are all helpful. So for you, you got to do the same thing and evaluate, okay, how can I add more of these individuals to my circle and create a healthier circle of friends and family, all right? Now, the next relationship on the list is romantic relationships. So, by a show of hands, how many people here want a romantic relationship? Okay, that's the majority. All right. How many people in here think romantic relationships are nothing but drama and nonsense? You needed to fake out. Don't worry. Well, I'm glad that nobody really held their hands up. But here's the thing. If we want to have romantic relationships, we got to get the other relationships in order first. All right? So trying to date and have this romantic dynamic added to your life when your relationship with God is off, your relationship with yourself is off, your friends and family make you sick or stress you out. All of these things are going to make it harder for you or destroy your ability to have a healthy relationship. Because, for example, if you have stressful family and friends, and now you bring this person into your life, they have to deal with your stressful family and friends too. And they have to deal with you being stressed out by your family and friends. And what happens is you end up being drained by everyone else and bringing your drained self to your partner and say, deal with this and be happy. Like, that's not fair. Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to give your partner the best of you, not the worst of you all the time. Yes, they should be there to handle those worst moments. In those rare moments, it comes. But your consistent energy should be something that's great and wonderful to be around, not a drag. So you have to get everything else in order. Not to mention, if your relationship with God and yourself is not correct, you are most likely going to end up with the wrong person, all right? Because if you don't love yourself, you won't be with someone who loves you, period, all right? And there's no way around that because you will have a very hard time embracing someone who pours more love into you than you even can pour into yourself. It's going to be hard to handle that, hard to grasp that in that moment, and you're going to think this is too good to be true, something's got to be wrong. All right. So you have to get everything else in order, get those things straight. Now, when it comes to romantic relationships, number one, always ask God about the person you're dating. All right. A huge mistake people make is simply going off of how they feel or what makes sense to them in the moment, but they don't consult with God. And I said it yesterday to the VIP. I said, when I counsel divorced women and even divorced men, and I asked them, did you ask God if you should marry this person? 90% say, no, I didn't ask. The other 10% say, I asked, God told me no, and I married them anyway. All right? This is why we have ridiculous amount of divorces, dysfunctional relationships, failed marriages, and all these things, because we're not consulting with God about who we're dating. Not to mention, if we would ask God early in the process, we wouldn't waste so much time with the wrong individuals. We're dating people 3 months. Can I get a second amen real quick? All right. We're wasting all these months, years, all this time trying to figure out if this the person's for us, when if we would have asked that question from the beginning, we would have got our no, eliminated it, moved on. And part of the reason why we struggle to have great marriages is because we're so worn down from all the previous relationships. A lot of marriages suffer not because of that marriage, because of everything else that person had to go through before them. And if you don't resolve those things, you don't have the same energy and passion and desire needed to make your marriage thrive and go to that next level. So it is important for you while you are single to reduce the wear and tear emotionally and spiritually that you expose yourself to by constantly dating the wrong people for too long. So pray early and ask God, is this the person for me? Number two, you have to find out if we're on the same page as soon as possible. That's the other problem or mistake that people make, is we're waiting too long to finally ask them, do they want what we want? Are we headed in the same direction together? Can they embrace my path and can I embrace yours? So we have to discuss these things and not be afraid to ask the questions. Now, this is especially for the ladies in here. A lot of women are afraid to ask men those questions because you think you're going to scare him away. You don't scare away the man who's actually serious about you. You only scare the man who was never sure about you to begin with, all right? And again, even if he's not that sure, he doesn't run away because you asked the question. There's only two reasons he runs away. One, he never wanted you in that way to begin with, or the way that you're asking is creating a problem. Like I said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you ask us in an interrogating manner, all right, well, do you want kids? When do you want to be married? How do you see this? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes. We're going to be like, whoa, like, what's wrong with this lady? You're doing too much. But if you're having a genuine, honest conversation, in the flow of conversation, you ask these real questions, no man who's actually considering you is going to run away from that. Also understand that, and there are men in here who can agree or disagree with me, men know pretty early, very fast, if there's at least potential for this to go somewhere with you, all right? We've already, in that first maybe conversation, maybe even first time seeing you, if you're going to be able to get to girlfriend status, wife status, and for those who are engaging in sexual activity, if you're just someone to sleep with, all right? He sees that. And if anything, you don't technically, like in most cases, you're not able to upgrade, but you can downgrade really fast, all right? So you can go from, man, I met this woman and I think she could be the one. And next week, go back to your boys and say, man, F her, I don't care. I'm just going to sleep with her and that's it. Like that can happen like this, all right? But for us to view you as someone just to sleep with, and then next week, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to marry her, not likely. Not impossible, but it is less likely than the other way around. So I say that to you for you to understand that, not to be afraid to talk about the deeper things, because again, if he sees you as any potential, he will welcome the conversation, all right? And he'll be willing to give you the answers. And I believe the same thing even goes for men. If that woman is truly open to something serious with you, she's not going to run because you're asking about, what do you want in the future? Where do you want to go with this? If anything, that will make her happy, all right? So we have to have these transparent discussions early on in the dating process. Number 3, do not let your family and friends pick your partner for you, all right? So let me just expand on that a little bit. Now, I'm not saying family and friends can't suggest a great partner and it can't work out wonderfully. What I'm saying is, do not let the pressure of family, friends, or this idea that you're running out of time force you to pick someone you're not truly into like that. That's the problem. When you're letting their selection of what they think is great for you override what you internally feel does not really work for you. You have to be honest with yourself about that. There are a lot of people right now married or in relationships with the wrong person, all because family and friends and the person was such a great person and they're unhappy and they're miserable. It will come back to haunt you in the long run. Don't set yourself up for it. So being honest with yourself about who you connect with, what you really like, what you can truly embrace in your life. And when you do that, don't look at how you feel in the moment. Envision yourself 5, 10 years from now with this person. Can you see yourself happy with this person 5, 10 years from now? Because it's very easy to rationalize in the moment how I can deal with this. But can I deal with this for 10 more years? You know, for some women, you're dealing with a guy who shows no ambition, has nothing going on. And right now, yeah, you can work with him. You don't mind trying to build him up. But if he's still the non-ambitious guy after 10 years, how are you going to feel? Exactly. Exhausted, annoyed. Keep it going. Irritated. I mean, whatever. Like that's the thing. So you have to really look forward in these situations. And then the last thing I would add to romantic dating is I think you just got to be true to what you need in a relationship. All right? And understand that you have to embrace what this person needs as well. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in relationships is that they're going in thinking me, 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 me. This person makes me happy. This person does this for me, and that's great. But are you prepared to give them what they need? You can't move forward with someone if you're not willing to fulfill their needs and desires. It's pointless to take any step further with them, all right? So find out what that is. If you connect with someone, if you guys are on the same page, the next step is, okay, what do you require from me in the relationship? What do you require from me if we were to get married to each other? Because some people's requirements in relationships increase when they marry you, all right? You need to define all of that. And when you can say to yourself, okay, you know what? I can do that. I can cover everything on that checklist and I'll be good and it's not going to be uncomfortable for me. There you go. You can move forward. So find out what they need, find out what you need. So last thing on the list, business relationships. So I am a firm believer that people probably neglect this dynamic the most, all right? And in the pursuit of purpose, in the pursuit of money and success, we think it's just about the money and the success, but we don't connect the dots and understand that relationships is what's going to make you successful. This is why I'm sure many of you have heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, all right? People get ahead, whether it's in the 9-to-5 job, corporate arena, or even in entrepreneurship, because they have the right connections, all right? Now, I am not saying you can't get far without the right connections. I can make the argument that I've accomplished a lot without having the right connections for a long time, but I do feel like there's a ceiling there, and you can only go so far by yourself. But if you want to reach that next level and you want to truly expand what you're doing, you have to open yourself up to connect with people. Now, again, everything else on this list, all these things play into your ability to establish healthier or successful relationships in the business arena. Because again, if you're not right with God, you will connect with the wrong people. If you're not right with yourself, you will connect with the wrong people. If your romantic relationship situation is toxic, you will connect with the wrong people. Do you see? All of these things pour into it. So it's important for you to be mindful of all these areas. None of them can be neglected. And with romantic relationships, if you're not with someone right now, you still have to have the energy and the structure in your life that allows for a healthy one to exist if it came into your life. All right. You don't wait for someone to come to say, now I'll make time for somebody. Because what happens to a lot of people, kind of shifting back to romantic relationships, is you become this busy entrepreneur now, not learning how to manage your time. Someone comes along, you meet them, you fall in love, but now you're expecting them to accept your schedule. You're expecting them to conveniently fit into your life, and when they don't, you say, well, they don't love me. How about you love them enough to make some adjustments? You love them enough to have enough balance so that they can get what they need and your business and everything else gets what it needs. So you don't wait for that person to come. You create that time now so that when that person comes, you can slide them right into the slot. It's easy, all right? That's it. Make it simple. In the meantime, you use that extra free time for you, for God, for business. Like you can divvy it up, but it's free time. It's extra. This is for whatever you want to place there, but it's really being reserved for that romantic relationship. And when you have that, people can see you as someone they can be with. But when you're all busy and scattered, they're thinking, she don't have time for me. He can't have time for me. Why am I even going to try to be with this person? So now back to business relationships. So you got to have all that stuff in order. But in business, like I said, it's who you know, who you connect with. So rule number 1, customer service is king. All right. Now, customer service isn't just about the customer. It's about any business person you deal with. It's about your coworker, your manager, everyone. You have to think customer service first. There's a reason why Chick-fil-A is #1 right now. All right. On the way here, me and Jenny and Rob, we went to Chick-fil-A. We ordered, and the minute we even walked from the counter, the guy was right there with our food. All right, asking us what do we need, just taking care of us. I'm like, wow, these guys, they're just special over here. Okay. And Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays and still beats all the other chains. Customers, well, two things, customer service and God first. That's why Chick-fil-A wins. So you got to be Chick-fil-A. Every last one of you in your life have to be Chick-fil-A. You have to give great customer service. When that coworker talks to you, be pleasant and nice. Don't give your coworker an attitude. When your manager speaks to you, same thing. Or if you do have a business, you have to speak. I had people on my team who were so negative and did not know how to give proper customer service, and it was hurting my brand. It caused a problem. Simply saying, if for example, you sell T-shirts and they didn't get their T-shirt, simply saying, I'm sorry to hear that. How can I help you? Let's fix this. That makes it better. But if you just respond, oh, okay, well, here's your T-shirt. Like, you didn't even acknowledge the inconvenience. You didn't acknowledge anything. That's bad customer service. So in every aspect, customer service is king when you're trying to build business relationships. Number two, you have to be willing to network with people, all right? Now, I will admit I'm a horrible networker. Again, I'm extremely introverted. So my cure has been to have a right side man who is very extroverted, and he does my networking for me, all right? But even in that, I still have to be willing to talk to and connect with people. People want to get to know you. And when they get to know you, this is how you're able to get ahead. Even when I used to work 9-to-5 jobs, I had a history of I would get promoted in no more or no less than 3 months at every job. Whatever the minimum requirement was, I would kill it. And the reason was every time I got to a job, I found whoever was in charge and I said, hey, I would speak to them very nicely and I would say, I want to know how to move ahead. Let me know. So you have to make people aware of what you're trying to accomplish. This idea that we're supposed to hold everything close to our chest, that's not always true. Some people need to understand what's your goal, what's your objective. Now that they know, they have you at the front of their mind when something comes up. So if they know you want to be a manager in that job, when a manager position comes up, they will remember, oh, let me go tell so-and-so the manager position opened up. But when no one knows what you're trying to do, no one's going to talk to you. No one's going to tell you. No one's going to look out for you. So you got to talk to people. You got to let them know what you're trying to accomplish and be willing to network. Now, well, let me move to number 3. So number 3 is you have to give before you try to receive. So one of the most annoying things that happens to me is people will DM me, and the first thing they're trying to do is get some money from me. The first thing they're trying to do is, can you shop me out on your page? Can you do this? I'm like, can I get a hello? A good evening? How can I help you? Now, listen, I know these people can't give me the value I can give them. I'm not even asking you to give the value that you're looking for in return. I'm asking you to offer something, to show them a willing to give something. Again, another biblical story. It's the example of the woman. Jesus was in some house, and there was a poor woman, and she had nothing. I think she used her perfume and washed his feet. And he had said to them, look, this woman gave what she had. It wasn't that she had to give $1,000 or give as much as the other guys in the house. It's that she was willing to give something and humble herself. So when you're trying to connect with individuals, ask them, how can I help you? How can I be of value to you? Maybe I can't give you X amount of money, or maybe I can't match your effort, but here's what I can do. Here's how I can help you in this way. And at least that shows the individual that you're not just thinking about you. And this will strengthen the relationship with them, and it will make them be more receptive and open to what your needs are. And in some cases, that person will say, hey, don't even worry about it. They'll give you what you need and not even ask for what you're offering for. But the fact that you offered sheds a great light on you. So always look to give before you receive. That's how you set the stage. All right. And again, even if you're working a 9-to-5 job, Be helpful to your coworkers. Be helpful to your manager. These things go a long way. I know sometimes we think it's going to get overlooked. It doesn't get overlooked. Sometimes the payoff is not immediate, but it's coming. It's the same thing like with the health aspect. Man, you could work out all week today or all week this week, and you're not going to see these amazing results right away, but you're setting the stage. It's coming. And as long as you keep doing it, the muscles are going to start to pop out, and you're going to look better, and you're going to feel better. So it's the same thing in business. You keep planting those seeds, planting those seeds, planting those seeds, and it's going to come and become something fruitful at some point. So be willing to give more than you receive, or let that be your priority. Give first, receive second. And then the last thing when it comes to business relationships is always acknowledge other people's value. And here's what I mean by that. I think that a lot of times, again, it's great to give, it's great to network, it's great to let people know what we're trying to accomplish, but you need to acknowledge what they're bringing to the table. When people don't feel acknowledged and valued, they feel like you're dismissing them. And when they feel like they're being dismissed, they're not going to be willing to help you out. Even when they can't give you exactly what you're looking for at that moment, thank them. Thank them. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge their efforts even when their effort falls short. At least they tried to make something happen for you. Again, when people see that you appreciate them and you acknowledge their value, they are much more willing to pour back into you. Appreciation breeds production. All right. And that's something that you can apply in your relationships. When your partner does not feel appreciated, their production will decrease. Period. All right. It's almost like if a woman cooks for a man every single day, but he never says thank you, never shows any true appreciation. There's going to come a day where you tired of cooking for his stank behind. Like, you like, man, forget this guy. He never acknowledges my efforts. All right. Same thing for a man. Like, don't ever have this mentality of where they're supposed to do that. No one is supposed to do anything. Everyone has a choice to do what they do. When that man is taking out the trash, he's making a choice to take out that trash. When that woman got you a drink, she's making a choice to get you a drink. Thank people for what they do. Show appreciation for all the small efforts, and this applies to business relationships as well. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Waiting on God isn't always easy, but it definitely is always worth it. But still, it can get hard and it can be a struggle, and we can lose patience a lot of times. But understand that when we wait on God for a relationship,